Welcome to lesson 1 in the pop-up studio. This lesson is all about how to set your smartphone up to get the best quality video footage possible. You will learn how to switch your smartphone into HQ mode, high quality mode, pushing those quality sliders up as high as you possibly can. You'll also learn which lens to use to get the sharpest and most detailed video footage out of it. And then finally, how to position your smartphone precisely so that once you do get on camera, you look your absolute best. But why are we so obsessed with high quality anyway? Well, if you've been creating video for social media already, it's likely that you've been optimizing it for a smartphone-sized screen. Nothing wrong with that. It looks pretty good, doesn't it? However, if you want to be able to use that footage again for multiple marketing purposes, then you need to increase the quality so that it can be used, looking professionally, on bigger and more detailed screen sizes. If the footage that you're creating is higher quality, then its potential increases. It's no longer just one social media post put out to pasture in an Instagram puzzle grid. It could also be a welcome video on your latest sales page, a pretty visual call out in a video explainer, or a still frame could even end up as a biopic in media coverage. High quality video footage can become a highly valuable, reusable digital asset, especially once it gains Yoüverlays status, this much coveted digital design overlay that you can just kind of put into any design that you like. And the amazing news is that all you need to be able to create these awesome little digital assets is a modern smartphone that shoots video. You actually don't need a professional camera to create this sort of video content. In fact, a smartphone has way more benefits than a pro camera for this sort of video footage creation. Smartphones are made for this job. And you don't even need the latest and greatest smartphone there is before you think about going and buying one. People have actually shot entire movies with iPhones. The movie High Flying Bird, which is currently screening on Netflix, was shot entirely with an iPhone 8. So if it's good enough for Netflix, it's good enough for our online video content creation, isn't it? So then, why isn't everybody with a smartphone shooting epic movie quality video footage? Honestly, it's just that most smartphone users don't know how to access all of the functionality on their phones. And finding these settings and repeating this every time you shoot a video, it's not easy, okay? It's really hard to shoot a high quality video on the fly. So you're going to learn how to push your smartphone to perform at its highest. You'll see how you can combine the right video settings with the right physical placement, which is going to unlock your very own HQ mode. Once you figure that out, you never look back. Quality really is everything. So grab your smartphone and your course workbook, because you're going to be making notes as you go so that you don't forget any of these discoveries. Because depending on your specific model of smartphone, some of the settings can be a little bit harder to access. So write notes, screenshot, sketch as you go. Whatever works for you to process and remember what you've learned. You'll add to this guide as you go through the lessons. Take action. Either print or make your course workbook available on iPad or even upload it to Canva so that you can write and sketch notes or take screenshots and paste these in throughout the lessons. This course workbook will become your quick reference guide so that what you learn about your smartphone and how to set it up won't be lost. I've decided to get the most awkward yet the most impactful thing out of the way, and that is, I better prepare you for this. It could come as a shock. I doubt you're going to be doing this already, and if you are, you're definitely not doing it all the time. So brace yourself, but please remember, all of the recommendations I'm going to make in this lesson are going to support this very first, possibly major change, okay? So are you ready? Are you ready? Okay. Switch to using the back lens to film yourself. Wait, what? I can't use the selfie lens? No, but hear me out, okay? Look, I know it's totally natural to want to see yourself and what you're doing on the screen when you're filming yourself. It makes a lot of sense. It just makes it easier for you, okay? I know it. But in our quest for quality, there's a really good reason for not doing this. The selfie camera, the whole experience, is set up to create good handheld selfies. The lens that your selfie camera uses is precisely the right length to flatter your facial features. So you will see a mirror image, because if you were to see what the camera actually sees, you will freak out. It's a thing, don't worry. So everyone loves a good selfie. So of course, smartphone manufacturers are going to focus on making this functionality amazing. But the selfie lens isn't designed to create movie quality footage. And it's certainly not designed for the way you're going to be setting it up during this lesson. So in order to get the highest quality video out of your smartphone, you're going to want to use the lenses on the back of your smartphone. But wait, this feels so wrong. Yep, that's right. You can't see yourself anymore. That's awkward. And yes, this can be a problem when you're shooting footage of yourself by yourself. You might start clutching at straws at this point and argue, but hey, my selfie footage looks really good. And maybe it does. But remember, it's optimized for selfies. Sometimes the rear camera quality is also significantly better than the selfie camera quality. So although it's going to be easier to use the selfie camera because you can see yourself and what you're doing on the screen, there's probably going to be a significant increase in the quality of your video output if you use the back camera. Still, it's undeniably useful to be able to see yourself when you're filming yourself, not just for vanity checks, but to be able to see that you are completely inside the frame. You're standing in the right position, that sort of thing. Look, lucky for you, other content creators have already worked this problem out for us. Because you'll be using a tripod, you can actually purchase a smartphone tripod adapter thingamajiggy that comes with a selfie mirror. And that makes it easier for you to see what is on your phone screen, which is now facing the other way. Or you could just prop a mirror up behind your phone so that you can check both yourself and the phone screen. Hooray! Being careful not to block your natural light. The point I want to make here is that there are ways for you to see the phone screen and make those checks when using the back camera. So fear not. Put your smartphone on a tripod. Let's look at how you position your smartphone in your pop-up studio. So in addition to having a modern smartphone that shoots video, you're also going to need a tripod that you can prop your smartphone up on around level with your head height. Smartphone holders or adapters can be purchased separately to tripods, so you can mix and match whatever's right for you with the tripod and the adapter. When you're shooting video footage of yourself, you should set your smartphone up on a tripod a couple of arms lengths away from where you're standing at around head height or slightly higher. The main reason for putting your smartphone on a tripod is so that you can free up your hands and get far enough away so that you can complete your poses and gestures. But the height at which you set it up is important too. Think of your camera as a photographer. If you've ever had your portrait taken by a professional photographer, you may have noticed them getting up on ladders or boxes to get themselves at a particular height in relation to you. The reason for this is that the height or angle that the camera is at in relation to your head creates quite different results. Shooting from a higher angle can be used to emphasize youth, femininity, or essentially make you look smaller or shorter. A higher angle can also help define curvier figures, as it can elongate the lines of the body, but it'll also have you lifting your chin slightly, which elongates the neck. But if your camera is too high, It can begin to make you look distorted and shorter than you really are. If you want to emphasize height, strength, or masculinity, setting the camera up at a slightly lower height than your head can help. But if the camera is too low, it can be looking up your nose, and that can be a little bit distracting. So the angle and height of your camera lens in relation to your head really makes a difference to how you will look on camera. Too high or too low, or just the wrong angle for your body shape or the look you're trying to convey, and your images can end up looking odd. So your starting point is to set your camera up at head height and adjust from there. If you're short on floor space for a standing tripod, you can also actually consider one that clamps to a desk or a table. This may limit your placement, however, which is why it's usually better to zoom with your feet. If you're working in a smaller space, you might be tempted to fiddle with the zoom functions. Be careful here. If you can, avoid using the zoom function when setting up your camera. There are two types of potential zoom functions on your camera, optical and digital. The optical zoom is the piece of glass that is manufactured to magnify the image it sees. It's a bit like a magnifying glass, but with less distortion. You might have one or more of these optical zooms on your smartphone. For example, a telephoto, one that makes the image look bigger, and a wide angle, one that gets more of the view into the image. Using one of these optical zooms will produce really good quality images. However, it's also possible to zoom kind of in between these optical lenses. This is called digital zooming, and all that's happening is that your image is enlarged and then cropped down again. You're actually going to lose details and quality when you zoom digitally. It's sometimes really hard to tell the difference between optical and digital zooming. So how can you avoid it? The easiest way is to zoom with your feet. That means position your camera lens at the correct physical distance without the need to use the zoom function at all. Find out which lenses your smartphone has and how to use them, and write notes in your course workbook if you need to remind yourself how to access it. Using a telephoto lens is okay, but avoid using any wide angle, as it's going to distort your face and limbs. This looks weird and people tend to freak out about it. Take action. Stand opposite a window and set your smartphone up on a tripod. It should be around head height, and you'll be standing far enough back so that the top half of your body is in the frame. Do be sure to complete this step, as you'll be using the footage to compare later in the lesson. First, using the selfie lens, shoot some test footage of yourself smiling and waving. Pretty straightforward, right? Next, switching to the back lens, shoot some test footage of yourself doing the same. Review the footage on your laptop or your TV screen even. What difference can you see? Zoom in to 100% and compare the pixel quality. Is one better than the other? How much? Use a higher resolution. Now let's look at resolution. One of the first major improvements you can make to the quality of your video footage. The resolution that you produce your video at is important because essentially it looks better on bigger and more screen sizes. TVs, tablets, computer monitors, laptops and smartphones are continually getting either bigger or showing more detail. So we need to create bigger and better quality video in order to look as good today on those screens as we did last year. Fuzzy, soft images, they aren't particularly professional, right? My principle as a digital content creator is this. If you want your content to last more than a few years, shoot at the best quality that you can at the present time. Right now, that's 4K to 8K. My guiding rule of thumb is If your video will display on a website, it should be at least 4K, and this is 2023, okay, so it could have changed. The different terms used to describe the resolution of a camera or video can be a little bit confusing, so here is a super quick rundown for you. Standard HD, or 720p, is 1280 pixels wide by 720 pixels high. Full HD, also known as 1080p, is 1920 pixels wide by 1080 pixels high. 4K is even bigger, and 8K is twice that. As of today, you can't even make graphics at 8K size in Canva right now, so if you shoot in 8K and import it into Canva, today it's going to be downsized. Your standard web size is usually around 1920 pixels wide. A standard Instagram post, 1080 by 1080 pixels. Simply put, if you're creating content at a certain size, it's going to look good displayed at that size or smaller. But as soon as it's viewed on a larger display, it's going to start losing a bit of detail, look a bit softer, and maybe even a little bit pixelated. Increase your FPS. Now we're going to look at increasing your FPS, frames per second, to improve the quality of your video footage. When you pause a video, it stops on a single frame of that video. Typically, your smartphone shoots 30 frames per second. That means that for every second of video footage there is precisely 30 individual frames that make up that video. 30 frames per second seems to be the sweet spot for most standard video capture and playback. If you shoot in slow motion, there will be between 120 and 240 frames per second. It makes the transition between each frame much smoother and much more detail is being captured. But I don't suggest shooting in slow motion. The files are way, way bigger, and playback at a normal speed can look a little bit strange. However, you can easily double the quality of your video footage by increasing your frames per second from 30 to 60. That's also twice as many still frames to choose from for your still image screenshots. Because just like when you pause a video, when you take a screenshot of that, it's a single frame of the video. You can use these screenshots as still images if the video quality is good enough. I mean, if you've gone to the trouble of getting camera ready and setting everything up, you might as well get some sneaky personal branding shots out of it right now too, hey? I have gotten so much mileage from this 4-minute video clip. You'll probably recognize some of the images from my website and my socials. The quality of that video was good enough to take screenshots from, which became personal branding images for all sorts of graphics. The video was shot in 2020 with an iPhone 11 Pro in 4K at 60 frames per second. Take action. Open up your video settings and switch it up to shoot in 4K at 60 frames per second. Make notes or paste screenshots into your course workbook about how you found these settings. And now that you have the 4K 60 frames per second settings engaged, reshoot the test footage you did earlier. Review and compare it to both your selfie lens footage and then the back lens footage before you made these changes. Do you see the difference? Turn any stabilization off. Lately, I've noticed way more smartphones introducing better stabilization options, which reduces shaky video. This is really good for handheld video recording, but you don't need it when your smartphone is on a tripod. What it does is zoom in slightly so that it can straighten and crop out the shaky bits later. The point here is that it uses digital zoom, which you now know means a loss in quality. So find out if it's on by default and turn it off. Take action. Find out if any stabilization of any kind is on by default and turn it off. Sometimes it's called other things like action mode or steady shot. So if you can't find it straight off the bat, dig deeper. You know what to do. Make notes in that course workbook and lock that knowledge in. Free up storage space on your phone and your computer. The downside to increasing the quality of your videos is that as quality increases, naturally, so will your photo and video file sizes. If you're already concerned about the amount of storage space left on your phone or your computer, you might be reluctant to shoot a heap of 4K 60 FPS videos. But rather than sacrificing quality, think about how you can free up or increase available space. Do a clean out of old photos and videos, move photos and videos to a cloud account like Dropbox or iCloud, or upgrade your plans so that you can put more into these cloud accounts and free up the storage space on your phone. Your smartphone and computer might have the ability to seek out larger files to help you with this task. I've tried a bunch of different tools and apps and tend to favour the ones that are paid and therefore ad and spam free. I've been using Gemini Photos on my iPhone for quite a few years now, and it helps me to delete duplicates, find huge video files that I shot and forgot, and just small helpful things like finding all the screenshots that I accidentally took. I have also the maximum iCloud storage subscription so that I can have the freedom to shoot footage without having to do a major cleanup exercise first. If there's an option on your phone to upload your full-sized images and videos into your cloud storage and only download them when you want to access them on your phone, try that. Anything to optimize and clear out storage on your epic HQ video creating smartphone. For my Mac, I use an app called Disk Drill, which has been really amazing for identifying large unused files and deleting them. I use Dropbox to keep all of my files in. It not only frees up space, but it also keeps my data safe if my laptop fails or is misplaced or worse, stolen. Take action. Open up your smartphone and look at what available storage you have. Are you pushing up towards the full end? If so, decide, how are you going to free up more space on it? Can you use an app to help? Do the same for your computer. And if it helps, block out 10 minutes a day specifically to free up storage space until you get on top of it. You'll thank me for it, trust me. Knowledge check. It should now be really easy for you to quickly switch your video settings into HQ mode, using both the positioning of the lens itself, which lens and which video settings you use. Can you quickly switch to HQ mode, referencing your notes? If not, practice. It'll make your video creation so much easier in the long run. Next, we're going to look at lighting your pop-up studio.